Hey guys, tonight we begin with the lead-glazed cups, gritty bread crusts, and quiet stomach deaths of Roman tenants clinging to the edges of Subura. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments what time it is for you and where you're tuning in from. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The morning begins with pain in the gut. Not a sharp pain, a dull, familiar one. It has lived inside you for months now, swelling and shrinking with the bread you eat and the sour wine you drink to soften it. You curl forward from the mat, slowly, carefully, as if your belly has turned to stone. The floor is packed clay, and the chill seeps up into your knees. There's mold on the wall near the door, dark and spongy, but it no longer bothers you. Nothing does. The cup near your head is overturned. A thick stain trails from its mouth to the edge of your sleeping mat, a mix of wine and bile. You don't remember being sick, but that's not unusual. The wine is strong and sometimes sharp with added herbs or ash. It's meant to numb, not to taste. You reach for the cloth that hangs beside the hearth. It's damp and smells faintly of vinegar. You wipe your face, your hands, then tuck it into your belt. The child beside you is still sleeping. His breathing is shallow and whistling. He's had no meat in days. Neither of you has. Just barley bread, dense and gray, baked near the bathhouse kiln where the soot settles on everything. The flour is coarse, milled with stones so worn they shed grit into every loaf. You feel it in your teeth when you chew, and you feel it in your belly after. A grinding, slow erosion. Across the room, your neighbor coughs. He's been dying for weeks. Something in his bowels. He drinks water straight from the fountain now, because he says it makes no difference. You know he's right. Your own water jug sits half full near the threshold, covered with a slab of cracked tile to keep the flies out. It doesn't work. The flies are clever. You stand, shoulders hunched, and move toward the door. The ceiling creaks above you. Someone is up there walking. Someone who lives above the bakery. Close enough to the ovens to keep warm, but not close enough to get bread. You press the latch and step outside into the alley. The stones are wet, though it hasn't rained. Something leaked from above, from a pail or a pot or worse. You don't look up. You don't want to know. You walk slowly, careful not to slip, hand pressed to your stomach. It will pass. It always does. Until one day, it won't. The alley narrows where the walls lean together, as if the buildings themselves are tired of standing apart. You duck beneath a sagging beam and sidestep a pool of water slick with oil. A cat slips past your foot, its ribs like a washboard, eyes dulled from alley air and scavenged scraps. The market is already stirring. You hear the soft clatter of pottery being set out, the wet slap of fish on stone, and the rhythmic cough of the man who sells onions, though he eats none. The bread stall is not open yet, but the baker's smoke has begun, rising in slow black threads above the roofline. You keep your eyes down as you walk. Faces are thinner this week. There was a fever in the northern end of Subura. It burned hot and fast. 3 families gone. The fountain beside the latrine still runs, but the water is cloudy. A woman scoops some into a bowl anyway, presses her shawl to her mouth, and drinks. You turn away, not from disgust, but from understanding. You've done the same. The bread you buy is warm but rough. The crust is blackened and the bottom wet from steam. You tear a piece off and chew slowly, careful of the hard spots. You taste ash and salt and the faint grit of ground stone. Your gums bleed a little, but you do not stop. You need the weight in your belly, even if it means a new ache by nightfall. Behind you, a child cries. No one turns. A man slips on the stones and catches himself on a crate of olives. The vendor curses, but half-heartedly. There is no strength in voices this morning. Even the pigeons are quiet. You walk toward the river, past shuttered shops and crumbling arches. A man is asleep beside a broken pillar, wrapped in a wool cloak stiff with filth. His mouth is open, and flies touch the corners of his lips. You look briefly for the rise and fall of breath. You don't see it. You walk on. Near the docks, the wind changes. It brings the smell of fish, rotting rope, damp wool, and something else. The faint sweetness of fermenting wine in clay amphorae, some sealed, some split. You stop beside a cart where a man sells boiled lentils in a thin broth. He spoons them into a cup with a cracked lip. You trade him half your bread. It's a poor deal, but the warmth is worth something. You drink standing, the steam rising into your nose, hiding the river stench for a moment. A man beside you spits, wipes his beard with his sleeve, and mutters about the taxes. You nod without looking at him. You have nothing to add. Everyone knows. Everyone pays. You walk again, slower now. The cup in your hand is nearly empty, the bread gone. The ache in your gut has quieted. It will return by evening, sharper than before. The river is high today, brown and slow. A dog stands on the edge, barking at the water as if it means to scold it for moving. You sit on a step slick with moss and lean your head back against the wall. Above you, seagulls wheel and scream, drawn inland by rot and refuse. Someone nearby is retching. You hear the wet sound of it, followed by the silence of breath held too long. You close your eyes, not to rest, but to stop seeing. The light is harsh, and it shows too much. The flies on the bread stall, the cracked feet of a woman washing rags in the gutter, the bent back of a man dragging a basket of bones toward the tannery. Rome is full, but never full enough to care. You sit for a while longer, the empty cup still in your hand. It smells of wine and iron. You do not remember how long you've had it. You do not know where you got it. But it fits your grip, and it gives you something to hold. You don't rise all at once. It takes a moment to pull your back away from the wall and gather the will to move your legs. Your knees crack when you stand, not from age, but from repetition. The joints are swollen most mornings now, and some evenings they refuse to bend. You walk the longer path home, not because it is easier, but because it is less crowded. The narrower lanes are where people pass without looking, where the shadows stretch farther across the walls. You pause once to adjust the strip of cloth around your waist. It holds a small coin pouch, though it is more dust than coin. Inside is a chipped bronze vase, worn smooth. You've kept it for weeks, unsure what to do with it. It's not enough for medicine, not enough for meat. But it feels wrong to spend it on nothing. So you keep it for the illusion of choice. A woman ahead of you stumbles, catching herself on the brick. She leans there, one hand on the wall, the other pressed to her side. Her hair is loose, dark with sweat. You look at her face and know better than to speak. She is at the edge, not yet gone, but close. You walk past. She doesn't notice. You turn a corner and the smell hits you. Tanned hides, boiled bones, stagnant water. This is the tannery quarter. You don't mean to come this way, but your feet bring you here sometimes. The men working inside do not look up. They are young mostly, but pale from lack of sun. Their arms are stained dark to the elbows, their fingers thick from the lime. One boy scrapes a hide along a beam, slow and mechanical. He blinks often, as if the smoke has crept inside him. You don't linger. There's nothing here for you. At the next crossing, a vendor offers dried figs, but you don't stop. The sweetness would twist your stomach into knots. Too rich, too sudden. You need bland things now, soft things. Things that do not ask your body to remember how to feel full. The path climbs slightly as you return to the tenement. Your legs drag. The cup is still in your hand. A dog crosses in front of you, black with matted fur and a twisted paw. It limps with determination, vanishing behind a crate. No one follows it. You reach your doorway and pause. The cloth has fallen again. You lift it and step inside. The light is worse than you remembered. The boy is still asleep, curled tight. You see the outline of his ribs even under the blanket. A rat scurries along the far wall but finds nothing worth chewing. You sit down heavily on the mat, legs out, spine curved. The cup rolls from your hand and settles on its side. You breathe slowly. There is nothing to do now. The fire has long since burned out. There is no wood, no fuel, no oil. You press your fingers to your lips and taste the last of the lentil broth. Cold now, thin and sour. A knock at the door startles you, but it is not loud. Just a soft tap. You rise too quickly and the room tilts. At the doorway stands an old man, barefoot, holding a bundle of cloth. He says nothing, just nods toward the floor. You understand. He wants the boy to sleep near his own, who has fallen ill and won't wake. You step aside. The boy will not wake either, not soon, but it doesn't matter. The man lays down the cloth, nods again, and leaves. You sit back down. The sun is lower now, streaking the far wall with gold. It is too beautiful for this place. It shouldn't be allowed in. But the cracks in the bricks let it slip through. You lean back and close your eyes, not to sleep, but to forget the taste of bread. The sun fades fast behind the buildings, slipping between rooftops and overhangs before vanishing entirely. The warmth it gave lingers only on the stone, and even that cools quickly. Inside, the air turns heavy. You light the stub of a wick, dipped in animal fat days ago, and set it in a cracked dish near the mat. It flickers weakly, casting a yellow smear across the wall. The flame smells faintly of meat gone wrong. You sit with your knees drawn up, arms wrapped around your shins, listening. The sounds of evening in Subura are different from the morning. Less shouting, more dragging, carts pulled over uneven stones, women calling children who no longer answer, a clatter of amphorae toppling somewhere beyond the alley. You hear it but do not flinch. The body learns what not to fear. The boy stirs once and mumbles something, but he does not wake. His breath rattles quietly in the dark, a broken rhythm that skips and stutters. You shift closer, not out of care, but to listen. It is better to know when it stops than to wonder. In the corner, near the bucket, there is movement, a small rustling. You hope it's a rat. Rats leave when there's nothing left. Cockroaches stay. They endure. You pull the blanket tighter around your shoulders and reach for the bread you saved, wrapped in a cloth and hidden beneath your sandals. It is smaller than you remember. The crust has gone soft from the damp, but the grit is still there. Always. You bite carefully. Each chew echoes in your ears. The crumbs fall into your lap and you brush them away without thinking. The taste is flat, as expected. Not unpleasant, just present. You sip from the cup. Only water now. Cloudy, but still. Your stomach clenches at the cold. You wait for the cramps, but they do not come yet. Not yet. Outside, footsteps approach. Slow, scraping. You tense, but only slightly. There are no locks, only latches, and nothing inside worth taking. The steps pass. A shadow crosses the opening and disappears. You exhale. Somewhere above, a woman begins to sing. Not well. The notes sag and drift, unsure of where to land. But there is something soft in it. something almost kind. You close your eyes again and let it pass over you. The song fades quickly. The night settles fully. You do not expect to sleep. Sleep comes when it wants, not when you call. You lie down anyway, curling to one side, hand over your belly. There is a pulse there, deep and uneven. You remember the healer who said nothing could be done once the belly hardens. Too much grit, too much spoiled oil, too many years of food not meant to be food. The body weeps from the inside, he said, and then it slows. You did not go back after that. You reach toward the wall and touch the bricks. They are cool, dry now. You press your palm flat against them and imagine the heat from the baker's oven on the other side. It is not real, but the thought carries weight. You drift, not into sleep, but into stillness, a place between breaths. The boy coughs once, dry and small. You do not move. The air in the room thickens, not from smoke, but from presence. It is the weight of what will not change. The roof above you creaks, slow and steady. The neighbors are moving again, pacing or settling. It is hard to say. You hear them, faint and distant, like sounds underwater. Your eyes close. Your mouth is dry. You wonder for a moment how many more nights like this you have. Not out of fear, just calculation. Then the thought slips away, and you remain there, waiting for nothing. You pass a man seated against the wall, his legs stretched out into the path, his head resting at an odd angle against the brick. His eyes are open, but his chest does not rise. No one stops. You step over his foot, careful not to look too long. If he is dead, the guards will move him before mid-morning. If not, someone else will. Either way, his place against the wall will be taken by someone else before nightfall. You walk on. The streets are not crowded yet, but they hum with preparation. Vendors stacking baskets, children gathering spilled beans from cracked sacks, old men unrolling faded blankets to display dull trinkets that haven't been touched in months. You don't stop. You don't need anything they offer. Your stomach is too tired for more food, your body too worn for trinkets. You turn toward the edge of the district where the bathhouses loom. Not the grand ones. Those are far beyond your reach. These are small, patched with lime and crumbling at the corners. You enter through the side, where a boy takes your coin and doesn't speak. The water is not clean, but it is warm, heated by fires that never fully die beneath the floors. You undress slowly, revealing the hollows of your ribs and the purple shadows beneath your skin. No one stares. Everyone looks the same. You step into the pool and lower yourself inch by inch. The warmth shocks you at first, then softens your limbs. The grit loosens from your feet. The ache in your side recedes just slightly. You close your eyes. You do not move. Around you, others speak in low voices. They speak of work not paid for, of bread gone sour, of sickness that doesn't leave. No one speaks of change. You leave before the water cools. Outside, the sun has risen higher. The streets have filled. You move slower now, the warmth still clinging to your legs. You reach the tenement by midday. Inside, the room is darker, the shutter pulled closed. The boy is sitting up. His face is pale, and his hands shake as he holds the cup. You say nothing, only nod. He drinks slowly, spilling more than he swallows. You sit beside him, listening to the quiet sounds of the street beyond the cloth door. A cartwheel creaks. A voice curses. A pot shatters. You take the cup from his hands and wipe his chin with your sleeve. He leans against you, bonier than before. His breath is shallow again. You place a hand on his back. His bones shift beneath your palm like dry sticks. You stay like that a long while. At some point, the light changes. The shadow on the far wall creeps higher, then fades. You rise and cross the room. There is nothing to prepare, no meal to make. You sit again, watching the wall. The boy has fallen asleep against your side. His breath whistles, then pauses, then begins again. You match your own to his without meaning to. One shallow breath after another. The rat returns. It crosses the room boldly, nose to the ground, then vanishes beneath the mat. You don't move. The boy stirs once, mutters a word you don't understand. You place your hand over his. His skin is dry and warm, too warm. You do not say anything. There is no one to say it to. You close your eyes. The floor is warm beneath you, still holding the heat from outside. You let it rise into your spine. You breathe. Nothing hurts more than it did this morning. Nothing feels better either, just the slow shift of the day into night and the waiting that begins again. Evening sets in without ceremony. There are no bells to mark the hour, no sun left to watch from your windowless wall. Only the change in sound, fewer carts, more voices, softer tones that don't rise above the rooftops. You sit with your back against the bricks, knees drawn close, the boy now sleeping flat beside you. His face is turned away, his mouth slightly open. He no longer coughs in his sleep. You aren't sure if that's good or not. The warmth from the bath has faded completely, replaced by the familiar ache at your hip and a cold spot spreading at the base of your spine. You shift, trying not to wake him. It doesn't matter. He doesn't stir. You reach for the cloth-wrapped parcel you tucked near the wall that morning. Inside is what remains of the bread you traded for earlier. A corner, a lump, a hardened edge of crust gone white with dust. You chew it slowly. The outer layer crumbles like chalk, but the inside holds dampness still. It sticks to your molars. You swallow without tasting. The sensation is enough. From outside comes the clatter of something falling, then shouting, then running. You do not get up. Moments later, footsteps pass by your door, heavy and fast. Then silence again. A woman screams somewhere far off, one sharp burst, then nothing. You keep chewing. This is Subura. Sounds mean little unless they are inside your room. You reach for the cup. Water again. You sip and hold the liquid in your mouth before swallowing. The boy stirs faintly. You place your hand on his shoulder and he settles. You count that as good. The rat does not return tonight. Perhaps it found something better elsewhere. Or perhaps it lies in a drain now, belly bloated with someone's spoiled barley. You imagine it curled under a stair, flies already humming nearby. You envy it slightly. Not the death, but the solitude, the completion of something. You shift again, pulling the boy's blanket higher over his chest. It's thin and smells of mildew, but it's all there is. You remember once having wool, heavy, dark, dense enough to hold heat for hours. It was stolen the first week you lived here. You never saw it again. You never asked. Near the door, the wind picks up, brushing against the cloth like a slow hand. It flutters, then falls still. The fire from a nearby window casts a glow under the doorway. You see movement through it, someone passing, someone pausing, someone watching. You do not meet their eyes. You never do. Eye contact invites questions, or worse, recognition. You lean your head back and close your eyes. Sleep doesn't come quickly, but it comes eventually. Not the deep kind, but the thin veil that muffles the edges. You dream without meaning, of water too dark to see through, of bread that crumbles before your fingers reach it, of stairs that descend endlessly, never changing direction, never leading anywhere. You wake sometime later. The room is darker than before. The coals in the dish are cold. The boy has shifted slightly, but still breathes. You draw your legs in tighter and press your forehead to your knees. You hear your own breath echo in your chest. You count the beats between each one. They come slower now. Everything comes slower now. The night holds firm. Nothing enters. Nothing leaves. The silence is not empty. It is full of waiting. And you do not know for what. You wake before light, not because anything disturbs you, but because your body no longer knows how to sleep through the cold. Your breath clouds faintly in the stale air, and your spine aches from the way you curled in the night. The boy beside you hasn't moved much. His hands are tucked beneath his chest, legs drawn up. You watch him a moment, counting his breaths, slow and uneven. One skips, then another. You place your hand near his ribs without touching. The warmth is still there, barely. You rise carefully, the mat creaking under your knees. The cloth door sways when you lift it. Outside, the alley is wet. It hasn't rained, but something spilled. A trail of something dark runs along the stones and disappears behind a heap of broken crates. You step over it without looking closely. At this hour, the street is nearly empty. The first bakers are lighting fires. You can smell the smoke before you see the chimneys. The scent clings to everything, mixing with damp wood, old grease, and the ever-present tang of urine from the drains. You walk slowly. There's no rush today. There hasn't been for some time. Your stomach feels like paper, hollow, fragile, loud when touched. You stop by the fountain to rinse your mouth. The water is colder than you expect, shocking against your teeth. You hold it a moment, then spit. The taste of ash and blood follows, faint but unmistakable. You sit on the stone edge, watching your reflection ripple in the shallow basin. Your face is thinner. The skin beneath your eyes sags. Your hair has begun to gray at the roots, though you are not yet old. Not by years, at least. A man passes behind you and nods. You recognize him, but not his name. He used to sell herbs before the fever took his wife. Now he carries bundles of sticks for the kiln, bundled in frayed rope. He does not speak. You don't expect him to. You stand again and walk toward the kiln. Sometimes they give away the ruined loaves, too burnt to sell, too heavy with ash to keep. You wait near the back, beside the stack of cracked amphorae and a pile of broken tiles. A woman joins you. Her hands are wrapped in cloth, fingers swollen. She does not look at you. When the boy appears with the basket, you do not crowd him. You wait until the others take what they can. What's left is small, hard as stone. You accept it without thanks and leave. The walk home feels longer. The bread in your hand weighs more than it should. You chew it before you reach the door. It hurts your jaw, but it quiets the emptiness for now. Inside, the room is dim. The boy hasn't moved. You kneel beside him and place your hand on his shoulder. He stirs, but does not open his eyes. You lift his head gently and press the cup to his lips. He swallows once, coughs, then turns his face away. You set the cup down and rest your hand on his back until his breathing evens again. You eat the rest of the bread in silence. The crumbs fall into your lap and cling to your palms. You do not brush them away. A fly lands on the rim of the cup and stays. You watch it move, slow and deliberate. It cleans its legs, rubs its wings. It does not hurry. Nothing does anymore. The day stretches thinly before you, pale and long without promise. You do not wonder what it will bring. You already know. Hunger, waiting, stillness, the boy's breath, your own. The sound of footsteps that never come all the way to your door. The sun climbs, though you do not see it. The only way you know the hour has passed is by the warmth gathering faintly on the inside of the bricks. You sit with your back to the wall, legs stretched in front of you, palms resting flat on the ground. The boy sleeps on. His breath has steadied, but he hasn't spoken since yesterday. You told him nothing. There was nothing to say. You rise slowly and cross to the door. The cloth falls back behind you with a soft whisper, heavy with moisture. Outside, the alley is brighter, though the light feels thin, like something diluted. You walk past the laundry lines where ragged cloths hang limp, steam curling off their edges from the sun. They'll be dry by dusk, brittle and stiff. You avoid the main road, too many people, too much sound. Instead, you move through the back lanes where the walls close in and the sky narrows to a pale strip. In one courtyard, a woman kneels in front of a pot, stirring a paste of barley and water with a flat wooden stick. The smell is sour, not quite spoiled, not quite food. A child sits beside her, sucking on a leather thong. You don't stop. Your feet ache, but movement keeps the stiffness away. You pass the bread stalls again, though you don't approach. You've nothing to trade, and the boy needs the water more. You refill the cup at the fountain, holding it beneath the stream until the clay darkens with damp. The water is clearer today, but you don't trust it. It rarely stays that way. On the walk back, you pass a crowd gathered near the drainage ditch. A body lies there, half in and half out of the water, bloated and dark. A man pokes it with a stick. The others stand and watch. No one moves to cover the face. You do not stop. You step around the crowd and continue home. When you enter, the boy's eyes are open. He doesn't sit up, but his gaze follows you. You kneel beside him and press the cup to his lips. He drinks in small swallows, pausing between each one. When he finishes, you wipe his mouth and set the cup aside. He says nothing, but his fingers twitch once, then go still. You sit beside him, watching the crack in the far wall. It has widened since the last frost, a thin vein of darkness stretching from floor to ceiling, dividing the plaster like a wound. Dust falls from it when carts pass outside. You lean your head back and close your eyes. Your tongue tastes of lime and smoke. Your stomach is quiet but not calm. It waits, calculating. The day drags. You do not move. When hunger returns, you press your hands together and rub your thumbs in slow circles. It helps, slightly. Outside, voices rise and fall. Someone argues. Someone weeps. A dog barks once and then is silent. You open your eyes when the light shifts. Late afternoon now. You stand, stretch, feel the pull in your calves. The boy has turned his face to the wall. His breath is soft again, too soft. You kneel and place your fingers near his neck. The pulse is there, but faint. You wrap the blanket tighter around him and adjust the mat. You do not know what else to do. You sit again, drawing your knees to your chest, rocking slightly. Not enough to disturb him, just enough to feel the rhythm of your own weight. You count backwards from 50, then again. Then again. The air thickens. Dust dances in the narrow beam of light through the door crack. You reach for the cup and sip the last of the water. It tastes like nothing, better than before. You set it down carefully and wait. There is nothing else, only this. Only the slow turning of the day and the boy's breath, rising and falling, one more time. The sun sinks beyond the roofs, unseen but not unfelt. The room darkens slowly, a shadow stretching across the floor like a stain. You don't rise to light anything. There's nothing left to burn. The last of the tallow was used 3 nights ago, and the wick crumbled when you touched it. Now you rely on memory and shape. The outline of the boy's shoulder, the curve of the cup's rim, the uneven edge of the mat beneath your leg. Your stomach turns once, sharply, then settles again. The bread from yesterday still presses against your ribs like a stone. You shift your weight, easing the pressure, but it remains. The boy hasn't stirred in hours. You lean close, listen. His breath is still there, but lighter now, thinner. You reach out and adjust the blanket. It feels damp, not from water, but from him. His skin sweats in the cold, a sign of fever that never broke. You press your palm lightly to his forehead. No heat, just moisture. You draw back your hand and wipe it on your sleeve. Outside, a door slams. Heavy steps echo down the alley, then fade. A voice shouts, low and hoarse. You recognize it vaguely. One of the bakers, perhaps, or someone who owes him. The argument doesn't last long. Nothing does. You remain still. Your knees ache from being bent, but stretching them would wake the boy. And you don't want to do that. Not tonight. Not if it means seeing how dull his eyes have become. The light fades completely. The only glow comes from the city beyond, a dull haze reflected on the low clouds above. You hear the sounds of pots being scraped, water being poured, a child being hushed. Life continues around you in fragments, as if it too is too tired to commit fully. You lean your head against the wall. The crack is wider now. You trace it with your finger, feeling the cool draft it lets in. It runs like a fault line between you and the rest of the room, as if the building itself means to split, to shed what's broken. You wonder briefly if the wall might give way in the night, if the bricks will tumble down and bury you. You think you wouldn't mind, as long as it's quick. You shift again, drawing your legs in tighter, pressing your arms around your knees. The cold works into your feet first, then your back. You shiver once, violently, then go still. The boy exhales sharply. You look at him. His face is slack, mouth slightly open, hands curled loosely against his chest. He's breathing, but the sound is wrong, wet and shallow. You place a hand gently on his side. His ribs rise beneath your fingers. You wait. He exhales again, softer this time. You stay like that for minutes, maybe longer. The night stretches out ahead of you, heavy and without promise. You think about bread, not today's, but bread from years ago. Your mother's, maybe. Or something you stole once, soft and warm. You can't recall the taste, only the way it gave beneath your teeth, how your jaw didn't ache after. That seems impossible now. You don't remember what food feels like when it doesn't hurt. The boy shifts. His head turns slightly toward you. You adjust the blanket again, smoothing it down, careful not to touch his skin. You listen for another breath. It comes eventually, ragged, but there. You lean back against the wall and close your eyes. Not to sleep, not yet. Just to shut out the shape of things, just for a little while. You don't sleep, but the hours pass anyway. At some point your legs go numb and your fingertips stiffen, but you remain still. Moving would mean waking him, or worse, confirming what you fear might already be true. So you sit and listen. The wind has picked up outside. It moans low through the alley, lifting dust and scraps of cloth from broken shutters. You hear something roll, a jug or a loose stone, and then the clatter of it breaking against the wall. The sounds no longer make you flinch. Your body saves its energy for more useful things, like holding still and staying warm. The boy coughs once, a weak fluttering sound that stops before it fully forms. You lean in, place a hand near his mouth. His breath touches your palm, shallow and damp. You withdraw your hand slowly, as if the gesture might keep him breathing longer. A rat scurries across the far side of the room, sniffing at the base of the wall. It finds nothing and leaves. You hear it squeeze through a gap near the stone basin. You wonder if it will return when you are both too weak to move. You stare at the spot until your eyes blur. You pull your knees tighter. Hunger comes and goes. It's different now. Not sharp, not gnawing. Just a presence. Like someone watching you from the other side of the room. You ignore it. You've gotten good at that. The last of the water is gone. You drank it slowly after the boy refused more. You had to. Your mouth was so dry your tongue stuck to your teeth. You rinsed and swallowed, hoping it would be enough to stop the dizziness. It wasn't. But the cup is clean now, or cleaner than before. You run your fingers along its edge. The chip has grown deeper. You try to remember where the cup came from. Was it yours? Did someone give it to you? You can't recall. You only know it fits your hand, and you've carried it longer than you meant to. You think about getting more water, but you don't rise. Your legs are still numb, and the thought of leaving him here even for a few minutes presses cold into your chest. If you go and return to stillness, you won't forgive yourself. If you stay and do nothing, you might not have to. You choose to stay. A faint light begins to return through the cloth at the door. Morning, though it looks no different than the last. The bricks behind you are warmer now. That means the sun has found the wall again. The boy moans softly, a breath wrapped in pain. You lean over and touch his forehead, cold again, not fever, just the absence of warmth. You try to shift him gently, adjusting the mat, the blanket. He doesn't resist, but he doesn't help. You speak just once, his name, though your voice cracks when it leaves your throat. He doesn't answer, but he breathes. Still. You move back against the wall and close your eyes. You've not eaten since the hard crust yesterday. You don't plan to today. There's nothing left. You think of the baker's boy and the way he looked at the crowd, no longer with pity, but calculation, as if weighing how long each of them might last, as if deciding how many crusts to withhold next time. You press your hand flat to the floor, feel the chill in the stone. It rises into your bones like water into cloth. You hold still, listening for breath that isn't your own. It comes barely, so you stay and wait. The hours that follow are shapeless. The light changes, but not enough to matter. You stay seated, legs drawn in, arms looped around your knees. The boy hasn't moved again. His chest still rises and falls, but more slowly now, and with long pauses in between. You count them. 12 seconds, then 16, then 10. You stop counting. It makes your hands tremble. You look at the cup, empty and dry. The inside is lined with a faint white film. Minerals, or perhaps something worse. You run your thumb along the bottom and feel the powder flake. You think briefly about scraping it out with a nail, mixing it with water, drinking it slowly. But there is no water, and your nails are broken and soft. So you set the cup down again and rest your head on your knees. Outside, the sounds grow louder. It must be midday now. Voices rise beyond the alley. Someone selling turnips, another shouting about broken tiles. A dog barks again and again, closer each time. Then silence. A moment later, a child cries high and thin until someone slaps them and the sound cuts off. You don't react. You stare at the wall, where a patch of plaster has peeled back to reveal brick beneath. The bricks are uneven, older than the rest of the room. You wonder who built this place, whether they meant for it to last this long, whether they thought anyone would still be living inside, pressing their back against its bones, waiting for time to finish with them. The boy breathes again, wet, wheezing, faint. You place a hand on his back. He flinches, just barely. A good sign. Maybe. You lift his head slightly and shift the blanket beneath him. It smells of mildew and vinegar. You tuck it tighter around his shoulders. He doesn't open his eyes. The warmth beneath the blanket is shallow, like water that sat too long in the sun. You press your own body closer, sharing what little heat you still hold. It helps, for a time. The shaking in your hands slows. You lean against the wall and wait. In the corner, the rat has returned. It noses along the base of the broken basin, sniffing at the cloth where you wiped your mouth 2 days ago. It finds nothing and moves on. You watch it disappear into the crack beneath the bricks. You envy it again. Its purpose, its instinct, its ignorance. The hunger returns in waves now. Not sharp, but spreading. A slow pressure behind your ribs, a dull echo in your spine. You press your hand to your belly and feel the hollowness beneath the skin. It gurgles once, then falls still. You don't expect it to speak again. You breathe through your mouth, slowly, evenly, hoping it will distract from the ache. It doesn't. The boy makes a sound, not a word, but something like one. You lean in, but he's silent again. You touch his cheek. Cold now, not from fever, not from sweat, just cold. You shift closer. You do not know what else to do. You think about going for water again, about rising, walking, returning. But the thought of coming back to an empty room halts you. So you stay. You press your palm against his ribs and count again. 12 seconds. Then 15. Then 9. You stop counting. The bricks against your back hold no warmth now. The room is silent, save for your own breath. You close your eyes, not from exhaustion, but to quiet the light. It's easier that way. Easier to wait. Easier to listen. Easier to forget what your own voice once sounded like. You must have dozed, though it hardly feels like rest. When your eyes open again, the light is gone. The room is dark, but not silent. The boy breathes still, but it comes in shallow flutters now, like wind trying to move through a narrow crack. You reach out and touch his shoulder. He doesn't stir, but the skin under your palm is soft with sweat. You sit with your hand there, not pressing, just resting. A connection, or a witness. You're not sure which. Outside, someone is singing. A man, drunk by the sound of it. The words slur and tumble into each other, a low chant repeated without shape or tune. It goes on for a while, then silence, then a cough, then footsteps moving away. The quiet that follows feels heavier than the song. You shift your weight, stretching one leg slowly. Pins and needles race from your calf to your toes, but you make no sound. The boy's lips are dry now. You reach for the cup and tip it toward his mouth, though you know it's empty. He turns his head faintly. A reflex. You set the cup down again and press the back of your hand to his cheek. No change. You pull the blanket higher, though it barely covers his feet. He's curled in on himself now, spine bowed like a hook, arms tight across his chest. You know this posture. You've felt it in your own body. It means the organs are drawing in, retreating, saving what they can. It means the end is close but slow. The doorcloth stirs, a breeze maybe, or a rat. You hear a rustle but see nothing. The wick dish is still empty, and the coals have long since cooled to stone. You breathe deeply, drawing the damp into your chest. The smell of mildew is stronger now. Or maybe you've stopped noticing all the other scents. A creak above you, someone walking. 2 steps, then a pause. The boards groan. You remember the woman who lives up there, with her husband and 3 daughters. She once gave you a strip of cloth when the boy's hand was bleeding. You wonder if she still has enough to wrap her own children. The sound stops. You imagine her sitting now, in the dark, listening the same way you are, waiting. Below your hand, the boy's chest moves again, barely. You count out the pause. 13 seconds, then breath. You hold yours, then release. The mat beneath you feels damp. Your clothes cling to your back and legs. Your feet are cold again. You rub them together under the hem of your tunic. A small sound, like paper crumpling. You stop. Every sound feels too large. The night stretches on. You close your eyes. Not to sleep. Not this time. Just to imagine something else. A field, maybe. Or a wooden bench in the sun. A bowl of something warm that doesn't taste of ash. A voice speaking your name gently, not out of need, but habit. You hold the image loosely. It flickers and fades. The boy breathes again. Then silence. You wait. Still silence. Then a slow intake. Your shoulders sag with it. You didn't notice how tightly you were holding yourself. You shift again, pulling your knees in, pressing your side to his. You stay like that, listening, waiting. Not for change, not for hope. Just to hear the next breath, or to know when it no longer comes. Morning arrives without light. Just a gradual lifting of the dark into something gray, thick, and damp. You open your eyes to the same wall, the same crack, the same stale breath on your lips. Your body aches from stillness, not effort. Every joint feels filled with sand. You turn your head toward the boy. His eyes are closed, his lips are parted. You listen before you move. One breath, then another, then none. You wait longer this time, longer than yesterday. The silence stretches like a thread pulled too tight. Just when you think it might snap, you hear it. Faint, weak, but there. Still there. You place your hand on his shoulder. It's warm, but not with fever. You speak his name. Quietly, just once. No reply. You don't expect one. Your voice sounds foreign, like something borrowed from another room. You let it vanish into the wall. You sit back and rub your palms together, trying to summon friction. Your fingers crack. One knuckle is swollen. The nails are dark. You wipe your hands on your tunic, and the cloth scrapes against your skin like bark. Outside, the alley breathes. You hear the shuffle of feet, the hollow echo of a pot being dropped, the grunt of someone lifting something too heavy. A dog barks twice. It's always the same dog. You haven't seen it in days, but you know its voice now. You rise slowly. Your knees resist. Your feet throb when they meet the ground. The cold has settled into your bones like lime in an old pipe. You stretch once, arms over your head, and your spine creaks in answer. You move to the door. The cloth is damp and heavy. You lift it aside and blink into the light. The street is pale and full of smoke. A man pushes a cart past, wheels whining under the weight. Inside, bits of cloth, broken tiles, and something wrapped in wool. You look away. You go first to the fountain. There's a queue already. People hold jars and bowls, cups made from hollowed bone. You wait without speaking. When your turn comes, you fill the cup slowly. The water is clearer today. A good sign, maybe. You drink half and carry the rest home. When you return, the boy hasn't moved. You lift his head gently and tip the cup to his lips. He doesn't resist. He swallows twice, then nothing. You lower him again and sit. Your hands tremble, not from fear but from hunger. You reach beneath the mat for the cloth bundle you hid yesterday. Inside, 2 scraps of bread, hard but not yet spoiled. You chew them both, slowly, breaking them down until they vanish into paste. Your teeth throb. One feels loose now. You tongue it and feel the gap widening. You swallow and let the ache fade. You look at the boy again. He's asleep. Or something close to it. His fingers twitch once, then go still. You brush the crumbs from your lap and lay back beside him. The floor is cold, but familiar. The ceiling shows a dark spot near the beam. Mold. You watch it grow. You let your body settle. The cup rests between you and the boy, catching the dim light from the door crack. You close your eyes and feel the world contract around you. Into the mat, the boy's breath, the cold edge of the cup, and the knowledge that this, too, is a kind of waiting, Not for change, not for help, just for the next moment, and the one after, until even they stop coming. You wake to the sound of something dripping, a slow, irregular rhythm tapping against the basin stone. You don't move at first. The room is quiet otherwise, the kind of quiet that feels full, not empty. You listen. The boy doesn't stir beside you. His back is warm against yours, but not warm enough. You shift and feel the ache in your side bloom again, sharp and wide like a hand opening beneath your ribs. You've grown used to it mostly, but mornings make everything louder. You sit up slowly. The cup is still where you left it, with a smear of dried water across the rim. You set it upright and rest your fingers on the edge. You glance toward the boy. His breath is there. Thin, but there. The cloth around his legs has slipped again. You tuck it under him carefully. His ankles are pale, the bones sharper than before. You stand and stretch. The mat clings to your knees. When you let the door cloth fall behind you, the alley is already awake. A woman crouches by a crate, scraping something from a bowl with her nails. A man empties a chamber pot into the gutter without looking. The smell rises and settles, sour and familiar. You walk with your head low, passing through the haze of smoke from the kiln ovens. The baker's boy stands near the side alley, arms crossed, eyes scanning the crowd. You avoid his gaze. The last time you asked for crusts, he shook his head before you could finish the sentence. Today, you don't ask. You just wait, behind the stack of broken amphorae near the cracked cistern. Eventually, someone drops a bundle of scraps beside the waste heap. You move quickly. 2 pieces of flatbread, scorched on one side, soft in the center. Still warm. You don't eat them there. You carry them back, pressed under your tunic against your ribs. The heat seeps into your chest. You pass a boy younger than yours, sitting on a step with his hands out. His knuckles are scabbed, his face streaked with dirt. He doesn't speak. You don't stop. When you reach your doorway, you pause. You listen first. No sound inside. You lift the cloth. The boy is on his side still. You kneel beside him and place the bread on the mat. He doesn't wake when you touch his shoulder. His eyes open, barely. You lift him gently and break off a corner of the softer piece. You press it to his lips. He takes it, chews slowly, eyes closed. You feed him a little more, then set the rest aside. You eat your share quickly, not tasting, just filling the space. The crust cuts your gum, but you don't stop. The pain reminds you that your mouth still works. The boy swallows once more, then sighs and leans back into the blanket. You wipe his chin with your sleeve. You press the rest of the bread into the cloth and tie it tight. 1 more meal, maybe 2 if you stretch it. You drink the last of yesterday's water, warm now but smooth. The boy's breathing is more even. You sit beside him, shoulder to shoulder, and lean your head against the wall. The mold has climbed higher now, reaching toward the ceiling beam. A fly buzzes in lazy circles near the door. You close your eyes. You count your breaths again. Not because you need to, but because it's something to do. And in the counting, time passes. And in the passing, there's still something left to wait for. The light deepens as the day wears on. It angles across the wall now, catching the uneven plaster and turning the room a dull yellow. You sit with your back to the bricks, the cup resting between your knees, the wrapped bread under your elbow. The boy hasn't spoken, but his eyes have opened twice, once to look at you, and once at nothing. His lips are dry again. You wet your fingers and dab them gently, and he blinks once in reply. The quiet between you feels almost like sleep, but it isn't. It's just what's left when noise fades and nothing replaces it. Outside, someone drags a cart down the alley, wheels stuttering over broken stones. A woman shouts something harsh, then goes silent. Footsteps pass quickly, then more slowly, then stop entirely. You don't move to look. The sounds don't concern you unless they enter the room. The boy coughs, a thin, dry twitch in his chest, then settles again. You unwrap the bread and tear a piece from the soft center, holding it until it warms slightly in your palm. You press it to his lips. He turns away, not in refusal, just in exhaustion. You place it down beside him, where he might reach it later. You eat a piece yourself, chewing slowly. The crust is harder now. It cracks against your teeth. You swallow with effort, pressing your fingers against your throat. It slides down eventually. You sip from the cup and let the water coat your mouth. You press the rest of it into the bread to soften it. The boy shifts again, curling tighter. You place your hand gently on his shoulder. His skin feels thin and cool. You don't know what time it is anymore. The sun has moved, but the room remains the same. The air hangs still. You wonder when the last breeze passed through the cloth door. You can't remember. You draw your legs in and wrap your arms around them. The ache in your belly has dulled into a steady pulse. You welcome it. At least it's not sharp anymore. Outside, someone laughs. A brief, startled sound, then quickly stifled. It feels out of place, like a dropped dish in a church. You close your eyes again and rest your forehead on your knees. The smell of ash is stronger now. Maybe someone's chimney has caught fire again. You think of the baker's quarters burning last year, the black smoke rising over the rooftops, the crowd watching silently as it swallowed the walls. No one helped. They only waited to see if the bread inside could still be eaten. You didn't get any that day. The boy stirs again. You lift your head and look at him. His lips part slightly. His breath rattles softly in his throat. You reach for the cup, find it nearly empty, and press what's left to his mouth. He drinks a mouthful. That's enough. You lower his head gently, rest your hand over his chest. The rise and fall is fainter now, like cloth lifting in a slow wind. You lean back and watch the door. The cloth sways once, though no breeze touches it. Your eyes burn, but you don't blink. You hear nothing outside. You hear everything inside. You close your eyes, only for a moment, and listen again. There's still breath, for now. And for now, you wait, as you always do. When you open your eyes again, the room has grown darker, though the sky outside still holds some light. It seeps in through the top edge of the cloth door, casting a dull stripe across the floor. You can see dust moving in it, slow and aimless. You shift your position against the wall, but your body resists. Every joint complains in its own voice. Your knees have locked. Your back burns from the pressure. You stretch one leg at a time, slowly, cautiously. The boy has not moved. His chest still rises and falls, but with long pauses that make you hold your breath to match them. You touch his forehead again. Cold, damp. You think it might be sweat, or maybe just the room. Everything is damp here. Even your thoughts feel wet, weighed down. You turn your head toward the cup. Empty. You tap the rim lightly. A hollow sound. You think about getting more water, but the thought of rising, of walking to the fountain, of stepping past the bodies and the staring eyes, it sits too heavy in your chest. You look at the wrapped bread. One piece left. You break it in half and eat a small bite. It tastes like chalk. You chew slowly, careful not to split another tooth. Your tongue finds the gap where the molar used to be. The gum is sore, but no longer bleeds. Just another place your body has decided to forget. The boy makes a sound, not a word, not even a cry, just a rasp. You lean forward quickly, too quickly. Your spine seizes and you wince. But you reach him. His eyes are open now, barely. You bring the softest bit of bread to his mouth. He doesn't turn away this time. His lips part. You press the food in gently. He chews once, then again, then swallows. You feel something pull behind your eyes. Not a tear, just pressure. You sit back, hands resting on your thighs, watching him. His eyes close again and his breathing evens out slightly. You wrap the rest of the bread and place it under the mat where the rats can't reach. You listen. The alley has gone quiet again. Too quiet. You wonder what time it is. You can't tell by the sun. You haven't seen its face in days. You count the seconds between breaths again. 8, 10, 12. You stop. You press your back against the wall. The bricks feel like bone. You run your hand along the crack in the plaster, following its shape until it disappears behind your shoulder. The mold is spreading upward. Soon it will reach the ceiling beam. You don't know what will happen then. Maybe nothing. Maybe the wall will give. You feel your eyelids growing heavy. The weariness is not just in your body now. It's in your head, your chest, even your hearing. Sounds fade in and out. You hear someone shout 2 streets over, a dog whimpering, the distant clang of metal on stone. Then, nothing. You close your eyes, not to sleep, but to listen better. Your other senses sharpen in the dark. You feel the boy's warmth beside you, faint and fragile. You feel your own heartbeat, slow and irregular. You feel the breath of the room. You let it carry you, just for a while, until something changes, or until nothing does. The wall creaks behind you. It's not a sharp sound, more of a long exhale, as if the bricks themselves are shifting in place after holding too still for too long. You open your eyes slowly. The light has gone entirely. What fills the room now is shadow, not darkness. A soft, colorless fog that hides little but makes everything look older. You can't see the boy's face, only the outline of his shoulder beneath the blanket. You lean close and listen, still breathing, still shallow, still slow. You whisper his name again, but your voice barely reaches your own ears. It dies somewhere in the air between you. He doesn't answer. You didn't expect him to. You reach for the cup again out of habit. It's still empty. You trace the rim with your thumb and set it down. Your stomach cramps once, a tight knot that rises and falls with a quiet shudder. You ignore it. There's nothing left to offer it. You reach beneath the mat for the wrapped cloth. The bread is still there, softer now from the damp. You unwrap it, tear a small corner, and place it on your tongue. It melts slowly, turning into something more like paste than food. You swallow with effort. The rest you save. You place it on a dry shard of pottery near the wall, out of reach of rats and close enough to find again without looking. The boy stirs, a slow, jerking movement. His arms curl tighter and his legs draw up slightly. You press your hand gently to his back. His skin is cool, not cold yet, just too cool to be comfortable. You tuck the blanket tighter, though it barely covers more than half of him now. The fabric has thinned at the seams, threadbare and sticky with oil. Still, it's something. You sit back, crossing your arms tightly across your chest. Your breath clouds faintly in the air, a soft mist that disappears as soon as it forms. The ceiling above you is lost in shadow. Somewhere up there, the mold creeps along the beam, silent and steady. You remember hearing once that it feeds on damp air, on rot, on things long forgotten. You think maybe that includes people too. Outside, the silence is different now, thicker. You hear fewer footsteps, no voices, no laughter, not even dogs. Just the low, continuous hum of the city holding its breath. You wonder what the streets look like right now, whether the bakers have closed their shutters, whether anyone walks past the fountains anymore, whether those who once sold boiled roots and pickled fish still stand with their hands open, calling out to no one. You wonder if the man in the flat above has noticed that you haven't left in days, or if he too has stopped marking time. You think of all the things that once filled your days, the walks to the edge of the city, the hours spent washing your tunic in cold water, the waiting in line for lentils, the counting of coins. Now there is only this: the boy, the cup, the breath, the waiting. You lean your head back against the wall and let your eyes close again. Not sleep, just rest, the kind that comes when you can't hold your body upright anymore, when you can't think another thought, when even fear folds itself into a smaller shape. The boy breathes, then pauses, then breathes again, and so you wait, still, quiet, holding nothing, expecting nothing, letting time move past you like smoke from a dying fire. The cold has grown sharper, not the damp chill of morning or the heavy stillness of midday, but a deeper kind, the kind that settles into the hollow spaces, behind your knees, beneath your ribs, under the eyes. You sit hunched, arms folded against your chest, fingers tucked into your sleeves. The boy hasn't moved in hours. You watch him through half-lidded eyes, tracking the faint rise and fall beneath the blanket. It's slower now, steadier in its decline. You haven't tried waking him again. There's no need. He drinks when he can, swallows when you feed him, and when he doesn't, you let him be. His body will choose what it wants to keep, what it will surrender. Your own body has made those choices already. You haven't eaten since yesterday's bread. The last scrap is still there, wrapped and hidden, but you haven't touched it. Saving it has become a ritual. You hold off as long as you can, not out of hope, but habit. A slow gesture toward order. Outside, the alley is unusually still. Even the usual scuff of sandals and muttered curses has quieted. You lift the door cloth just enough to look. Gray light filters in, flat and thin. A man walks past carrying a sack over his shoulder. His face is drawn tight, the corners of his mouth pinched inward. He doesn't look toward your doorway. No one does. The city has grown inward. People stay closer to the walls, moving quickly, watching the ground. A group of children lingers near the fountain, not playing, just sitting. One of them leans against the stone with his eyes closed, mouth slightly open, arms limp at his sides. You lower the cloth and sit again. The boy stirs once, a twitch in his leg, and then stillness again. You rest your hand on his shoulder. The bones beneath your palm feel sharper now. Less boy, more shape, less heat. You shift to sit closer, sharing the warmth of your side against his back. You hear your stomach growl. Not loud, but long, like a warning. You ignore it. The mat beneath you is damp again. Moisture has risen from the floor, soaking into the cloth where you sat too long. You move slightly, enough to escape the worst of it, but not enough to wake him. The blanket pulls at your leg. You let it. Across the room, the wall has begun to flake. Small particles of plaster gather at the baseboard, chalk white and curling. You reach out and touch one. It crumbles between your fingers. There's no wind, no draft, but the wall continues to shed. You imagine the whole room dissolving this way, one breath at a time, one flake, one grain. Not with noise, not all at once, but gradually, until nothing remains but dust and stains where bodies once leaned. The boy coughs, a dry, hollow sound. You turn to him, press your hand to his chest. Still breathing. You lean closer, whisper his name, not to wake him, but so that the sound exists in the room. It echoes against the walls and fades. You say it again, softer. No answer. You close your eyes and count backwards from 20. Then again. You feel the rhythm in your fingers, tapping lightly against your knee. It passes the time. It fills the air. It does not stop the quiet. The boy exhales again. A shallow breath. A pause. Another. You place your hand gently over his. It is dry now, no longer sweating. You keep it there, resting, not holding. The cold creeps into your back, your jaw, your scalp. You do not move. You wait. The room breathes around you. The boy does too, for now. The silence shifts as night returns. It isn't sudden, just a deepening of the gray, the fading of outlines, the swallowing of corners. You sit where you've been, unmoving, your body folded into itself. The boy lies beside you, still as ever. His breathing has thinned to the barest whisper, the kind you don't hear so much as feel. A soft presence, like warm air brushing past the cheek. You've stopped speaking. Even his name feels heavy on your tongue now, a sound that asks for something you cannot give. The cup rests near your foot, tilted, still dry. You touch it once, a small gesture as if it might fill itself. It doesn't. You draw your knees tighter, the joints stiff with cold. Your stomach clenches again, but there's nothing left to answer it. The scrap of bread remains beneath the mat, untouched. It doesn't tempt you anymore. It's not food now. It's proof. Of what, you aren't sure. Maybe that you could have had more. Maybe that you chose to wait. Outside, a shutter bangs open, then closed. Wind or hands. You can't tell which. Someone curses. A dog barks once. Then the stillness returns, thicker than before. The mold has spread further across the ceiling beam. In the dim light, it looks like smoke frozen in place. You watch it, eyes unfocused, tracing the patterns without meaning. The boy coughs once, not loudly, a sound like dry paper. You turn to him, lean in, your hand already reaching. His lips part. His throat moves, then still. You place your hand over his ribs. A pause, then breath, then still, then breath. Slower, shallower. You do not pull away. Your hand stays there, light and unmoving. You try to remember the sound of his voice, but it's already faded. You can recall the shape of it, the way his lips formed certain syllables, but not the tone. You wonder when it was that he last spoke. 2 days? 3? You've lost count. The days blur, each one layered on the last, like soot gathering on stone. You breathe in through your nose, slow and shallow. The air tastes of damp cloth, of stale ash, of wood too old to burn. Your eyes sting, but you don't blink. You just watch the shadows shift across the wall as someone passes the alley with a torch. The light flickers under the door cloth, then disappears. The boy shifts slightly, a twitch in his fingers. You cover his hand with both of yours. It's smaller than you remember, or maybe yours have just grown thinner. The quiet wraps around you both like wool left too long in the rain. Heavy, cold, sour. You close your eyes, not to rest, just to shut out the shape of the room. You count slowly again, not seconds, just breaths, yours, his, one after the other, until you lose track, until the counting becomes something like prayer, or penance, or a way to stay awake. The room is darker now. You can barely see your hands, but you still feel his, still faint, still here. And so you stay. The last warmth between you growing thinner, but not yet gone. You are not sure when the difference arrives. There's no sound, no gasp, no final breath. Just a quiet, too deep, too settled, too complete. You sit there, hand still resting lightly on the boy's chest, and you realize that nothing moves beneath your palm. You press a little harder, as if the weight might coax one more breath. It doesn't. You don't draw your hand away right away. You leave it there, waiting. Not for hope. You've known better than that for too long, but for certainty, for the air to settle, for the pause to stretch so long that it stops being a pause at all. The boy's skin is no colder than it was an hour ago, but it is not warm either. You lift your hand, your fingers leave no mark. You sit back slowly, legs stiff, spine numb from the wall. The cup lies nearby, still empty, still watching. You stare at it, not with meaning, not with emotion, just with the hollow eyes of someone who has nothing left to do. You should cover him. That would be the decent thing. But there is no spare cloth. Only the blanket already around him, already damp, already shared. You pull it gently higher, tucking it around his face. His eyes are closed. They've been closed for days. He looks no different now than he did when he was still breathing. You wonder if that's how you will look when the time comes. Still, small, unmoving. The thought does not frighten you. It simply stays, like everything else. You rest your head against the wall. The bricks are rough, but you no longer feel them clearly. Your skin has grown dull, like the cloth at your feet, like the wooden beams overhead. A sound filters in from the alley. A cartwheel, slow and crooked, a voice too low to make out. The city hasn't stopped. It never does. Not for you, not for the boy, not for anyone. You think about rising, going to the fountain, fetching water. You picture yourself standing there, holding the cup, watching the stream catch the first light of dawn, but your body remains still. The bread is still hidden beneath the mat. You could eat it, but you do not reach for it. Hunger is not something that guides you now. It's just one more weight. The silence in the room thickens, not uncomfortable, not menacing, just present. The kind of silence that fills all the space the boy's breathing used to take. You close your eyes again, not to sleep, but because there is nothing left to look at. The world has narrowed to a cup, a wall, a body, a breath that never came. You listen for footsteps that don't come, for a voice that won't call your name, for a knock at the door that never was. And in the not hearing, in the stillness, you remain. Knees pulled close, hands empty, the boy gone, but still beside you. And so the room holds both of you, one living, one not, one waiting, the other no longer able, both silent, both still. Nothing left to do, nothing left to say. The cup waits, the wall waits, you wait. The night moves on, and you do not follow, you simply stay. The room has changed, not in appearance. The walls still lean the same way, the floor still seeps the same moisture, but something in the air has shifted. It sits heavier, as though the weight of one more breath lost has made it denser. The boy lies wrapped in the blanket, small, unmoving. You've not touched him again since pulling the cloth over his face. Not out of fear, just preservation. The stillness is too complete to disturb. You sit opposite now, against the far wall, your legs outstretched, ankles crossed, the cup resting between your heels. You don't remember moving it. You don't remember standing. But here it is, resting like an anchor, as though it might keep the room from floating away. You stare at it. You don't blink. Your eyes sting, but not from grief. You think about the cup's weight, its chipped edge, the way it warmed when held, the faint metallic tang of its rim when pressed to the lips. You think about the many mouths that drank from it. Yours, the boy's, others before. You wonder how many more will, or if it too will stay here, untouched, after. Outside, the alley is loud again. Voices rise and fall in rhythms that feel almost rehearsed. The shuffle of feet, the clatter of pails, the shriek of iron on stone. Someone cries out, then laughter, then silence, then laughter again. You close your eyes and the sound dulls. Inside, the quiet remains constant. No breath, no cough, no restless shifting on the mat. You open your eyes. The boy is still covered, the blanket drawn up neatly beneath his chin. You try to remember when he last spoke to you. You think it was about bread, or perhaps a name. You aren't sure if it was his, or yours, or someone else's. The words are vague now, as though spoken through water. You press your fingers to your temple. The skin feels thin, stretched too tight across the bone. Your cheeks are hollow, your lips dry. You reach for the cup. You don't lift it. You only place your hand atop it. The coolness grounds you. It reminds you that you are still here, that your body still touches things, that you are not yet a shape to be wrapped. The doorcloth stirs. A breeze finds its way in, faint but noticeable. It lifts a corner of the mat and carries the smell of smoke and stale meat. You breathe it in without flinching. The city's scent has long since become your own. You stand, not quickly but deliberately. Your knees crack. Your head throbs. You bend and lift the cup. Your fingers tremble, but you don't drop it. You move to the door, lift the cloth, and step outside. The alley is dim. The sky above is a dull sheet of cloud. No stars, no moon. You turn toward the fountain. Each step feels longer than the last. Not heavier, just farther. You reach the basin. A man is already there. He sees you, steps aside without speaking. You nod, dip the cup, and fill it slowly. The water overflows, cold and fast. You drink. The cold strikes your teeth, runs down your throat, pools in your stomach. It stays there. You refill the cup and walk back. When you enter, the room hasn't changed. Of course it hasn't. You kneel beside the boy and set the cup down. You sit. You don't drink again. You don't speak. You only watch the light dim further. One breath at a time. One moment more. One less. You sit beside him as the room folds inward. The last of the day has gone, and night fills the space like water poured into a bowl. The cup sits between you, full now but untouched. The boy hasn't stirred. His shape beneath the blanket is smaller than you remember. The way cloth wraps him flattens his form, softens the memory of his breath, erases the edges of his limbs. You keep your hands on your lap, palms down, fingers curled lightly. The ache in your joints is constant now, less pain than pressure, as though your body resents the weight of time. You shift slightly, drawing your legs in closer, and wince at the stiffness. The mat beneath you smells of mold and smoke. There's a thin layer of dust near the wall. You notice how it moves slightly when you breathe. Outside, voices pass again. A man mutters about wood, about weight, about something owed. Another laughs, the sound sharp, cracked. Then silence. Then wind. A shutter bangs once and stays open. The alley sighs in response. A long exhale that snakes through the gaps in the cloth and touches the nape of your neck. You do not turn. There's nothing out there you want to see. You reach for the cup. Your fingers wrap around it. You raise it slowly and drink. The water is cold again. It hits your throat and disappears, leaving nothing behind. You lower the cup and set it down carefully, listening to the soft sound it makes on stone. The boy does not react. His stillness is complete now. Not the stillness of sleep, but the kind that settles with permanence. You think about removing the cloth from his face just once, to look, but your hands do not rise. Instead, you rest them over your knees again, watching the wall. A crack has split further near the ceiling. It runs down through the plaster, stopping just above the beam. Flakes have begun to fall. You notice a piece on the mat near your foot. You pick it up. It crumbles between your fingers. You wipe the dust onto your sleeve, slowly. You glance at the bread wrapped beneath the mat, still untouched. It has lost its shape now, sagging in the cloth. You consider eating it, but the thought brings no urgency. Hunger has become a background hum, always there, never sharp. Just a gentle pressing against your ribs, a reminder. You lean back against the wall and let your eyes close. The cold has returned to your feet. Your spine is tight. You try to recall how the boy looked when he smiled, but your memory offers only shadows. The way his lips moved, the tilt of his head, the space where his front teeth never quite grew straight. The more you try, the more the details slip away. You let them go. A rat scurries along the far wall, its claws clicking softly. It pauses near the basin, sniffs, then vanishes into a crack. You don't react. It finds nothing. You have nothing. You place your hand on the floor, flat against the stone. It's cool, rough, real. You breathe in, then out, and the sound seems to echo in the space where his breath used to be. You don't cry. There's nothing left in you to rise that far. You only stay, watching, listening, letting the dark wrap itself around the edges of everything until even the outline of the boy blurs, until there is only the cloth, the wall, the cup, the silence, until even the silence feels used up. You wake, though you were never fully asleep, just drifting in that shallow place where thought loops quietly and breath moves without asking. The room hasn't changed. The air is still heavy. The darkness lingers, not thick, but complete. The cup remains upright beside you, half full now. You must have sipped again in the night. You don't remember. Your body acts without your attention. The boy is still wrapped. His form has grown stiff beneath the blanket. The corners are sharp now. The cloth around his face has settled into place. You haven't uncovered him. You won't. Not because you're afraid of what you'll see. You already know. But because it would undo the stillness. And the stillness is all you have left. You shift your legs slowly, stretching one out, then the other. The muscles ache but obey. You take the cup, drink again, swallow with effort. The water is warm. Your tongue feels thick, like it belongs to someone else. You set the cup down and breathe out through your nose. A wheeze now. Your chest feels tight. You press your palm to it gently. The pressure doesn't help. You keep your hand there anyway. A sound in the alley pulls your head toward the door. Not footsteps, not voices, but the soft drag of something being moved. You listen, but it fades quickly. You don't rise. There's no reason to. The city is still turning. That much you can hear. You wonder how long you've been in the room. 3 days, 5, maybe more. Time folds in here. Each hour stacked atop the last like broken tiles. You lost track when the bread ran out. It's still there beneath the mat, but no longer something you consider eating. It's gone hard, crusted with mold at the edge. You touched it once, hours ago, and pulled your hand back as if it had spoken. You won't touch it again. You rest your head against the wall, cheek to brick. The cold seeps in slowly. You let it. The mat beneath you is wet again. The damp has returned, rising like always. You shift away from it, but only slightly. Your clothes are already soaked through at the hem. Your bones ache in the places where the wet lingers. You close your eyes and hear your own breathing, rasping now. Your throat is dry again, though you've just drunk. You wonder if your body is failing, but the thought doesn't frighten you. It feels more like a question being slowly answered. Your hand slips into your lap. You don't raise it again. The boy remains still, unmoving. A shape beneath cloth, a memory sealed by stillness. You reach out once more, fingers grazing the edge of the blanket, just to feel the weight of it. It's colder than you remember, thinner. You draw your hand back. The light from the door is growing. Morning again. Pale, flat. No warmth. You don't move to greet it. You sit as you are, breathing slowly, mouth open. You think about water, about fire, about things you haven't touched in days. You think about bread that doesn't hurt to chew, about warmth that doesn't feel borrowed, about sleep without the fear of waking. You do not smile, you do not cry, you only sit. One more breath, one more hour, one more piece of time left to wear thin. The morning keeps coming. You do not stop it. You only let it pass over you, like wind through old cloth, like ash in water, like everything else, almost gone, but not yet. The light is stronger now, filling the cracks between bricks, catching the edge of the cup, casting a line across the boy's covered form. You do not rise to meet it. Your body feels like it has sunk into the mat, become part of the floor. You breathe, slowly, each draw of air an effort, each exhale softer than the last. The sounds outside have returned. Distant footsteps, the clink of pottery, the low call of someone selling something. You do not strain to listen. Their meaning has long since faded. They are only texture now. Noise that proves life still moves beyond this door, even if you no longer follow it. The boy lies unmoving. The blanket covers him completely. The shape beneath it is unchanged. You look at him for a long time, not because you expect him to stir, but because your eyes know nowhere else to go. The cup near your hand is nearly empty. The water inside is cloudy now, specked with dust. You lift it one last time, drink what remains, and set it down gently. The sound of it touching stone is quiet. You press your back to the wall. The spot you've worn into it over days now fits your spine perfectly. A hollow for your shoulder, a ledge for your skull. You close your eyes. You are not asleep. Sleep has not come in days. What you feel now is a suspension, like floating just beneath the surface of something too still to name. Your hands are folded in your lap. They no longer tremble. The hunger is gone, not fed, just distant, like a sound heard through stone. You could reach for the bread again. You know it is still there. But the thought does not move you. There is no sense in breaking the silence that has settled. It has taken days to build, growing layer by layer like soot on old cloth. Now it holds everything together. You do not want to disturb it. You hear a child crying in the alley. Then nothing. Then the low creak of a wheel turning, a man shouting, another coughing. Somewhere nearby a dog growls. These are all familiar. They pass through you without pulling you back. You lean your head forward, chin resting against your chest. Your breath comes in shallow rhythm. You do not count it anymore. It counts itself. A soft breeze lifts the edge of the door cloth. It brushes against your ankle. Cool, clean, momentary. You do not move. The boy is still. The cup is still. The wall is still. You think about standing, but the thought has no root. It flickers and fades. The mold on the ceiling has reached the far corner. It forms a jagged black arc like a slow shadow. You stare at it until your vision blurs. You blink. You look away. The mat beneath you is soaked through now. You feel it rise into your skin. You accept it. You close your eyes again, and this time they do not reopen quickly. You let the room drift. You let your body rest. You do not reach for anything. You do not speak. You do not think of tomorrow. There is only this, the stillness, the quiet, the cold that no longer hurts. the breath that barely moves, the space beside you filled but finished. You do not wait anymore. You do not fear. You do not pray. You are here, and you remain.